Welcome to the JAMODI Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders, so let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, we are all searching for ways to better evaluate players in order to give meaningful feedback. Over 15 years ago, I put together a test called the Jomodi Skill Rating. The JSR takes players through a series of tests involving basketball skill or athleticism, giving them one rating at the end. Their JSR rating will give you clarity on what needs to be discussed with players and parents on areas they need to focus on improving. I test our players at least 4 times each year. They're able to compete against each other, past players' scores, and most importantly, their past performances. If you'd like to start testing your athletes, email me at jamodipodcast@gmail.com for more information.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, so going from the college game where I'm not saying you have zero parent involvement, but it's a lot less. How has that transition been to now, parents might feel like they have access or they do. Like I have an open door policy and I don't mind that, especially at a private school where they pay to be here. I feel like they are owed a little more access to me than when I was at public school. But how has that transition been for you?
It's been, I have really good parents. I have a really good community, people that trust me. I'm sure there's, one or two probably that still kind of has their reservation.
And granted, you haven't played a game yet. So
I haven't lost yet. But, for me, they have access, I'm going to give them, I'm going to give them feedback, both ways too. If a guy's doing well, if a guy's not. At the end of the day, I did set the standard that, it is, I am going to run the program the way that I want to run it. You can give me all the input you want and everything like that. But at the end of the day, for better or worse, I'm not from here. Right. So I don't owe anybody anything that's here. Now they don't owe me anything either. Right. So it goes both ways. So I have to earn their trust as much as they have to earn mine, but at the end of the day, I don't do entitlement. I just don't do it. As a college coach, I didn't do it. I think that kids right now just think because, what my last name is or what I do here or there, in college, it's what I did in high school. I just think that kids think that that's, they live on those laurels. Right. And so for me, when it comes to parents and dealing with parents, I let them know, every day you got to earn it. Our kids will earn everything that they have. Our locker room carpet says earn it on it. It's going to say earn it on it, because I have to earn it every day too. That's not just them. That's not just the players. That's me too. I have to earn the players' trust every day by being the same person every day, holding those standards. I got to earn the trust of my AD, the trust of my community, the trust of my alumni by doing what I said I would do, which is hold everybody accountable to the same standards. And, maybe that rubs people wrong, but, at the same time, for me, it's 100% about the program. There's nobody above the team. And if you as a parent are going to come in and hold, obviously you're going to love your kid a little bit different than you love the others. But for me, it's percent. If you're not bought in, if you're not 10 toes in as a parent too, you got to be 10 toes in as a parent. And the hardest thing I think is to get other parents to celebrate other kids, and that's hard. Luckily, I have parents that will do that. But like I said, I think that in this particular situation, I have a really good group of alumni, a really good group of parents, a really good group of, athletic directors that understand that, I don't do entitlement. That was the one thing when I came in an interview. I said, if you want somebody that's going to just play the game and, and just be like, yeah, hey, you've been, this is, you've had these laurels for the last, 10 years, you're on these laurels that you have for the last 10 or, whatever years or whatever, your older brother played and he was really good. So you're I'm not doing that. You're going to earn it every day. And I tell our guys, I said, and it's a daily thing. You might have a great game on Saturday and score 20 points on Saturday, but if you come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you don't practice hard and you think that, you arrived, there's a chance Friday you just don't play. You're gonna re-earn it. And we have this saying that I tell these guys, today's ceiling is tomorrow's floor. And if you're starting from the floor every day and you're not getting better, I can't do that, and so, to go back to your question with the parents is I really set that standard from the beginning of I'm not doing entitlement. You're going to earn it. I embrace competition. So many kids don't want to compete. And I think that that's part of it. And, and then at the end of the day, their parents don't want them to have to compete. Right. And so luckily a lot of my parents, the majority of my parents want their kids to compete and are open to that because every day is a competition, not just in basketball. Right. If you got to compete against yourself to be better every day. I wasn't wasn't good at school until I saw it as a competition. It wasn't until my wife started trying to get her master's that I'm like, well, shoot, like I'm going to get a better GPA than she did, so it's like turns into a competition. We wake up in the morning, like compete to be a better version of yourself every day. If you can compete every day, that's good. So all that with my parents has been good as far as just dealing with them and understanding that, and like I said, if you love their kid, if you show that you love their kid and that you're about their dreams, you usually take care of itself, but you have your parents that want to be involved and stuff like that. And you find ways to, actively get them involved. I have parents that have been awesome with my booster club, and that's great. And, like I said, I have parents with my travel programs that have been great. So, don't get it twisted though. In college, you have some crazy ones too. Don't get that. It's just a different type. It's different level. They're hundreds of miles away, not a mile away. And so it's a little bit different.
I think you did a really good job with setting the standard from the beginning. That parent meeting or your first interaction, so important to set the tone and set your standards. But I've also done my very, very best the last maybe decade of trying to view our parents as allies, not as the enemy.
Yep.
When I was at McKinney, at where I was a varsity assistant, is a big public school here in DFW, they were enemies. Yep. And I was confrontational with them, and I'd look for confrontation with them. I'd seek it. And all that does is put the kid in the middle. Tyler Costin had just a great point about all the stakeholders that are actually in your program. So often we only think about us and the players. Those are the only two that matter. And I got to make sure that me and that player are okay. I don't care about anybody else. That relationship is important, but like you mentioned, so is your AD, so is your principal. And then the other stakeholders, the ones that are actually around your kid and know your players better than anybody else does, is the parents. And the more that we can do to bring those stakeholders into the vision, involve them in what they're doing.
And one of the things that go back to what you were saying, my good friend Amir, he's the head coach at South Florida now. He was at Kennesaw and mentor of mine. He said one time to me, and this resonated with me, is you just got to keep the main thing the main thing. And, if you keep the kid as the main thing, everything else will flow, right? If you keep the program as the main thing, and that's my thing I tell our guys is nobody's above our program. Not me, not our alum, not the all-time leading scorer, not the AD, not and nobody's above our program. The program is first and foremost. And so for me, if you keep the main thing, which is the program and the players, then your parents can never really question you. They might question your X's and O's and abilities and stuff, but my goal is that the parents will never get second guess on whether I really care for their kid or not, whether their dreams are really my dreams. And I think that once you do that, like no matter what their problem is with you, if his kid's not playing, if this, that, or the other, if they can never question that I do care about their kid, everything else is, secondary. You can be mad at me that, Johnny didn't play on Friday and he only took like 6 shots and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean I don't care about him. You can never question that part.
I think that goes back to your parent meeting of establishing a few facts. One fact is that playing time doesn't equal higher level of care, and lack of playing time doesn't mean lower level of care. And then you reinforce that with some like 10-minute meetings where from your starters all the way down, they're getting the same amount of time with you. And a great example, I think, and maybe this is one of the few successes I've had in this arena, was I knew that one of my varsity players was a little bit down about his playing time. I knew that because we had met and he had the opportunity to talk about it. But I saw his mom, and I had coached his older brother a few years before. And I saw his mom in the stands during the JV game, and I just thought, I'm going to go talk to her. So I went and sat next to her, and I said, hey, I just want to check in with you. I've had a great talk with your son and about how he's feeling, and I completely understand. And I just want to let you know a little bit of where I'm coming from and how our conversation went. And she had this, she's like, I want to be mad that my son's not playing. But first, she said, I know that you care about him. And also, I know that you want to win, and you're doing everything that you feel you need to do to win. But that's because, one, I met with them, so captured his heart, but also established that in our parent meeting that although winning isn't the only thing that we care about, on Tuesdays and Fridays, it is the only thing. So program has an overarching theme that's bigger than that. But I think kind of doing those things throughout the year allows for parents to, I could feel it. She did not like me in that moment, but broke her down, broke the wall down, and there's an understanding. And not that in that moment she was a huge fan, but
Still might not.
we can do our best.
Right. And you don't need to, like, my thing is, I don't need the parents to like me. I just need them to know that I love their kid.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, you cannot like me because of, there's days my wife doesn't like me. I'm sure she doesn't like me right now, but she knows that I love her. And
dude in Texas is keeping you out there. Put it all on me. That's one of our PE coaches used to say. Anytime like somebody would ask him to do something outside, he's like, you know what? I have the shoulders to handle that burden, coach. I have the shoulders. All right.
God gave you those broad ones for a reason.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jomodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.